Welcome back, everybody, to Pale Mexican Studios. And today I am going to go over something a little bit different. Like I said, this wasn't just going to be a channel specifically about history, but of course of modern topics and things that I find interesting and might be useful for some insight, especially as we get into the election season that's coming up here in November. And I thought it might be beneficial to go over the track record of Kamala Harris, or Kami Harris, Kamala, Camel Eye, whatever you want to call her. And by the way, I just want to, let people know that if you're offended that I called her Camel Eye, it was not I that said it. It was actually Joe Biden that called Kamala that. Anyway, the point of this video is going to be laying out her record. So we're going to look at this, and I have the question: is it Kami Harris or is it Moderate Harris? You tell me what you think after we get through this. Number one, she said that she wanted to defund the police during the Summer of Love. Now she says she does not. So, what does her track record say? What is it that she's done to make us think that she would actually want to support the police, or what has she done in the past to indicate that she does not? But really, we're going to take a look at her past. We're going to take a look at the things that she's done, because remember, the actions speak louder than your words. That's always the old adage that we look at to really measure what a person, what we think a person's going to do anyway. And I think that this is something that I think is still beneficial and will still hold true today. So again, what did she do back in 2020? Well, she donated to the bail fund for the rioters in 2020. So she was actually supporting the Minnesota Freedom Fund that was bailing out people who were attacking police officers. That is right. Hey, look, don't take my word for it. This is actually going to be up on the screen. You can look at the articles that I'll place up on the screen, as well as in the description. Down underneath the video, you could go and look at each one of these descriptions. You could say, you know what? I don't believe this conservative guy because he's a lying sack of crap, and all he wants to do is make Harris look bad. Well, no, actually, I'm just the sack of crap that is just showing you what Harris has said, and that is trying to prove to you that she didn't need any of my help for her to look bad. So we are actually going to take a look at this. This is from the Washington Examiner. The Washington Examiner. This article in particular is by Gabe Kaminsky. Gabe Kaminsky, he writes a little bit in the article, says that the super PAC has joined Trump allies in ramping up a line of attack, posting on X, formerly Twitter, on Monday that Americans pay the price for her radical record. The super PAC also highlighted Harris's comments in 2020, arguing the United States should reimagine public safety, posting on X. Kamala Harris might love criminals, but she hates the police. The Minnesota Freedom Fund, a previously little-known organization that tax forms show raised a staggering $41 million in 2020. Now, just to give you a little bit of a refresher, the 2020, the reason why this is so important during this specific time was that this was during the Summer of Love with the George Floyd riots. And yes, they weren't the peaceful protests where they were burning cars and looting and stealing, like the media was trying to say it was. No, these were the violent protests, the violent riots that were taking place all across the United States, but particularly the Minnesota Freedom Fund was one of the organizations that was out there that was posting bail for these criminals that were running amok. So anyway, $41 million in 2020. was notably promoted in June of that year by then Senator Harris, who posted on social media, if you're able to, or maybe I should do this with the Harris voice, if you're able to, chip in now to the @MN Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. Formed in 2016, the MFF has paid more than $26 million to free 3,000 plus people from pre-trial jailing and immigration detention, and pays criminal bail and immigration bonds to those who cannot otherwise afford to seek to end discriminatory, coercive, and oppressing jailing, according to the MFF's website. To Republicans, the MFF became a key example of the left's push in 2020 to defend the police, an extremely unpopular movement that is now disavowed by most Democrats, and that is exactly right. But let's see, what kind of criminals was the Harris-endorsed MFF? What kind of criminals were they using this money to bail out? Well, this article actually has a few of those people and actually gives their name. So, for example, Sean Michael Tillman of St. Paul, who was sentenced to life in prison this March for first and second degree murder. George Howard, another man that the MFF freed, pleaded guilty in 2023 to second degree murder for shooting and killing another man in 2021 in Minneapolis. Let's see. Christopher Boswell is a twice convicted rapist that the outlet reported. Darnica Floyd was later sentenced in 2021 to prison after being charged with second-degree murder in 2018 for stabbing a man to death who did not want to have sex with her. I think it's pretty clear to see exactly where she stands on this particular issue. Harris, she says that she actually posted a video on, I can't say that she posted a video on X, but there is a video on X, is what I should say, that says that she never, I never supported the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Oh, really? Well, don't take my word for it. In fact, you should look on the screen right now and take Harris's word for it of what she said about about supporting the Minnesota Freedom Fund. So you tell me, what does it sound like Harris wants to do? Defund the police, or do you think that she truly supports it? The second thing that she said that she wanted to do was to ban fracking. Now she says that she does not. So you tell me, what is her record on this? But hey, again, don't take my word for it. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at this sweet little montage?
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
You supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking."
Fact check bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. Here's what she said at a CNN climate town hall in 2019.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes.
So listen to what she actually said in that 2020 debate.
Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking.
I certainly did not hear anywhere in there Kamala Harris saying that she personally had abandoned her previously expressed 2019 view.
So as you heard straight from the horse's mouth, she said that she would ban fracking. This is not something that I said. This is something that Kamala Harris herself said. In fact, you even saw that CNN, which is no friend of conservatism, even they would not let Kamala Harris walk back her old fracking, or her old ban on fracking ways. And this isn't the only liberal news outlet that was calling Kamala Harris to the mat. In fact, there's an article in New York Times by Lisa Friedman, where Kamala Harris is, where she tried to win the White House back in 2019. She had aggressive positions, quote, on climate change, calling for a ban on fracking and a tax on carbon pollution, and $10 trillion in spending to fight global warming. So I think it's pretty obvious to see what Kamala Harris's record has to say about what she truly believes. Does she want to ban fracking, or do you think that she's going to be true to her word and not ban fracking? I have one more little article for you guys. One concerning, of course, Kamala Harris. During her time as, or her final days as the California AG, she sued the Obama administration over fracking. She sued the Obama administration over fracking. Listen, CNN wouldn't let her go. The New York Times wouldn't let her go. She sued the Obama administration for fracking. I think we can all deduce, based off of her past actions, that she is absolutely against fracking. She says that she's for fracking now, and that she says that her positions haven't changed. But we all know that that is one big fat lie, and that is one lie because she thinks that you're stupid enough to go and vote for her and to support her when she absolutely wants to ban fracking. Do not get pulled into any of her lies. This is just one of the more blatant lies that even the liberal news media, they couldn't run cover for her because they knew what her past record is. She is the border czar, or in charge of the border. I don't care what you want to call it. It doesn't matter. The point is that whether you say that she's the border czar, whether you say she's in charge of it, it doesn't matter. She is in charge of it. She is, right now, her and the drive-by media, they're all saying that she was never the border czar. She was never in charge of the border. Right now, they're saying that. And the reason why is because they're trying to distance her and I think a little bit with the media trying to play a little bit of CYA here as well, by saying, oh no, that she was never part of this, and we never touted that. They absolutely said it. Everybody was ecstatic because they're like, oh man, a woman's in charge of the border, and now we could get stuff under control. But now we take a look at the border, and we see that the border is worse than it has ever been. That's why she's trying to distance herself from it, because if it was as good as they keep, I mean, it's like they keep playing, talking out of both sides of their mouths. They say that, and everybody sees that the border is horrific, that it is the worst that it has ever been on one side, and then they want to blame Trump on that. But then on the other side, they try to say, well, we've actually clamped down on the crossings at the border as well. So which is it? I mean, they both can't be true at the same time. But here's the key. Here's the key to all of this right here is that who is in charge of the country right at this moment? It is the Harris-Biden administration. And yes, I want you to know that I'm purposefully putting Harris in the front here. Okay? But anyway, she and Biden are the ones who are in charge, and they haven't staunched that flow into our country. She says that she believes in border security. She even called Trump's wall a vanity project. Yet now, all of a sudden, she supports the wall. But I have to ask, wasn't it Biden and Harris that stopped funding to the border wall on day number 1? Oh, but don't take my word for it. No. In fact, here, why don't you see for yourself? It should be right here on the front. You should be able to see it right there. All right. So not only do I want to show you, what I just showed you there on the screen, providing proof of where, or that, that they had wanted to stop the funding, and that in fact that they did stop the funding. However, the other thing that I want you to see is that there's this article by CNN by a man named Andrew Kaczynski. Excuse me if I butchered that. But the of course, the link is going to be in the description below. But according to Andrew and CNN, this is what he wrote about her. Going down in the middle of the article, it says that when asked about criminal justice reform on the questionnaire, she wrote that she would end immigration detention facilities along with private prisons, and Harris said she also supported decreased funding for ICE. Our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of thousands of individuals and families and children, Harris wrote. I was one of the first senators after President Trump was elected to advocate for a decrease in funding to ICE. Now, especially this topic really gets under my skin when we start talking about illegal immigration into the United States and trying to change the language of what these people are. They are illegal. They're here breaking the law, and they should not be here. And I know it may sound cruel, it may sound heartless, but we have certain ways to get into the country legally, and these people are not abiding by the law in order to get here the right way. And I am very much against that. And honestly, because the Democrats have opened up the borders and allowed this flood of illegals to come in, this is exactly why we have all the problems that we do have today. I mean, we have, what is it, over in Colorado, those Venezuelan gangs that are taking over those apartment complexes. Why aren't the Democrats running to the aid of those people that are there? Of course, you have the whole situation over in Springfield, Ohio, with the Haitians, I mean, there's what is it that Trump says, that there's about 20 million undocumented or illegal aliens that are flooding into the country. There might be even more, and this whole situation could be easily avoided. But the Democrats wanted to grandstand and act like they're like they care about humanity, like they care about the people, like they care about all these the burdens and the hurt and these situations that these people are running away from over in other countries. But my question is where's all that care and love for all of our homeless out here on the streets, or let's forget about even across the America, but what about in their own cities, their own sanctuary cities, like L.A., San Francisco, man, where else? Where's another big one? New York City, Seattle, Sacramento. Instead, where they have they have literal maps where they have to tell people to go and avoid human feces that all over the sidewalks, or where to avoid all these piles and piles of used needles that are all over that are laying all over the streets. Where's all the care and the love? I mean, don't you remember just what was it? Was it last year, or was it earlier this year when Xi Jinping came over to California, and Gavin Newsom openly admitted that he's cleaning up his state just because they're having guests over, but he didn't give a crap about his own citizens before some communist dictator came over. These people have got to stop pretending that they actually care about all these other people that are over the seas. They're trying to flood and destabilize our system. They're trying to flood and destabilize our country, and that is honestly the bottom line. They don't give a crap about people. Otherwise, they would have started caring for the people that are right in their own districts, but they haven't done a dang thing yet. And not to mention, I know exactly what going through the whole legal immigration process is like. I actually did bring my wife over here to the United States, and believe me, I know that process, and it sucked. It was hell to go through, and I know exactly how difficult it is. But in the end, I think that it made my wife more appreciative for through the process, and now I know that she loves being an American citizen. And quite honestly, I can't say the same for all these people that are flooding over our borders illegally. I can't say that they have that passion, or that they have that same zeal to and I'm not saying you have to completely leave behind your identity, but to conform to the American ways and to become an American, and I just don't see that. So now, after taking a look at all of this, and we saw that Harris is in charge of the border, not was, she actually still is in charge of the border at this moment. So don't try to let her wiggle out of that one. And of course, again, all the links are in the description below, so you could go take a peek for yourself to see what she's saying versus what is actually being said. But they are the ones that have caused the border crisis, specifically Harris. She is the one that has caused the border crisis. And so anything that they say that they're going to try to fix immigration, my question is why don't you do it now? Why don't you do it now? She says that the food and the housing prices are out of control and wants to impose regulated prices on the food. And the Democrat Party also wanted to give $25,000 for the down payment on home for first-time buyers, and I'm sure that that's going to have some type of regulation. But never forget that Harris was the one that placed the tie-breaking vote in the Inflation Reduction Act, which not only increased the taxes on manufacturers, which of course would be passed along to the consumer, but they also gave the IRS more. I think it was over 80,000 agents, if I remember correctly, or excuse me, employees. But these people still haven't learned from the Reagan years. During the Reagan years, the key to lowering the prices on food and everything else that was out of control during that time, because of the Carter administration, was lowering taxes and deregulating the economy. That always helps businesses and consumers alike. She wanted to impose these food regulations, or she wants to. This is something that she does want to do. Somebody, and I mean Harris, has not paid attention to the USSR and what has happened there. And of course, folks, I'm being facetious because the Democrats, they know full well what happened there, and what is going to happen right here in the United States if they begin to do price control as well. And I actually have a little article here. Let me see. Let me get to my stack of stuff. Let's see. This article, just bear with me. Here we go. This article is from heritage.org. This is an article by Preston Brashers. He actually goes along and he starts. He talks about this is during Biden, of how he's wanting to making a call for more taxes. But this is what he says about it. What Preston Brasher says. He says, it's going to make matters worse for consumers. The president claimed that his tax plan would only raise taxes on the wealthy and big corporations. However, his claim that the taxes apply only to big corporations is false. The president's budget would increase tax rates on corporations by a whopping 1/3, regardless of the size of business. Large and small corporations alike would face the tax hike. That would be the largest tax hike on U.S. corporations in more than 70 years. In fact, it would be the largest increase in the corporate tax rate of any developed nation in almost 40 years. Piling new taxes onto the cost of doing business in America is hardly a recipe for making goods and services more affordable for American consumers. And that is exactly right. Because what is going to end up happening is that they're going to increase the taxes on all these big businesses and the wealthy and the 1% that they continually and they continuously always crap on. And what they do is that obviously they either make it impossible for these businesses to operate here in the United States, or so they end up leaving and we end up losing jobs. And on top of that, they make the economy even worse by all these taxes and regulations that are going to end up trickling down to the consumer as well. And of course, Harris, her bright idea is to institute price control on food, and I'm sure probably other necessary items that this administration is going to deem as necessary and important, and ultimately all that it's going to do is just going to bring shortages about. Just like how there are many, many shortages in the USSR while it was still up and running. Next, she says that she was tough on crime as a prosecutor in San Francisco and California, but the numbers show otherwise. She wasn't tough on real crime. She spent her time hunting marijuana offenders and hunted down children and parents who were breaking truancy laws through her anti-truancy regulation that she tried to bring, and it ended up just backfiring. Again, this is just going back to what the Democrats do. They say that they want to do something, and then it backfires, and it goes completely the opposite way. But anyway, of what she has done, the rising crime in California, this should be an indicator of what both her and her successors have been failures for prosecuting and being quote-unquote tough on crime. Now, of course, you don't have to take my word for it, but let's take a look at some of these articles that I have prepared. You could look at it on the screen. I know I'll have a few little cutouts there on the screen prepared for you, but as well down in the description, you can take a look at each one of the articles for yourself. So one of them was this article done by NBC News, NBCnews.com. This article was written by Alexandra Chaidez and Simone Weichselbaum. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name, okay? But if you look at the article and look for yourself, you would understand my difficulty with pronouncing that particular last name. Anyway, it says here that the Attorney General's office under Harris released a summary of law called Proposition 47. As of last week, prison officials reported that there were 92,480,000 people locked up in California's prison system, down from a height of more than 156,000 inmates during the early 2010s, before the law was passed. But as NBC News reported last year, California's reforms created a prison-to-homelessness pipeline, as counties were overwhelmed with the influx of returning inmates. Violent crime, meanwhile, has increased across the state. The state attorney general's office reported that from 2014 through 2023, violent crime has risen more than 30%, including jumps in rapes, aggravated assaults, and murders. Critics also blame the rise in retail theft in California on Proposition 48. They say the reforms enabled serial shoplifters to cycle in and out of police custody with little accountability, even if they're repeatedly arrested. They're only charged with misdemeanors as long as the goods are valued at less than $950, which, by the way, still persists to this day. Frustration over shoplifting is now driving voters to amend the law. Douglas Ekron, a former deputy director of parole for California prison system, he says that Kamala Harris is not a hardliner on crime, Ekron said. Proposition 47 couldn't happen without the AG's office support. Her support of it was literally critical. Harris's relationship with both police officers and police reform activists has been fraught. When she ran for Attorney General in 2010, the San Francisco Police Union president did not back her, citing her refusal to seek the death penalty for the killing of Officer Espinoza. That's a relationship that's never going to be okay, union boss Gary Delagnes told SF Weekly at the time. So again, even looking at this as her time as the DA and as the prosecutor over there in San Francisco and California, it was even Tulsi Gabbard got all over her for her abject failure there, and such so that even places like NBC, all these liberal news sites can't even defend her record of what she has done. And by the way, I know that the Biden administration is touting that crime is lower than ever, but I have one more little article that I wanted to show you. This one comes from the sfstandard.com. This is speaking about the crimes that are not being properly reported. The SFPD Chief Bill Scott acknowledges that the police department has a duty to address the public's fears of crime regardless of what the statistics say. The fear of crime is a real thing and we have to deal with it, he told us during a ride-along interview on National Night Out. I don't care about how those statistics slice up, because if people fear that crime is happening, it's a real problem. Scott believes the viral videos are a major contributor to the perception that San Francisco is dangerous, but he also notes that under-reporting of crimes could account for crime statistics not matching up with the citizens' lived reality. So despite what they say, of her being tough on crime and crime is going down because she's such a wonderful prosecutor and all that other bullcrap that they want to talk about, I would say that the statistics and the actual real live experiences of these people that are actually living there, that are crying out for help, but are not getting relief at the moment. I would say that her record as being a prosecutor that's tough on crime is dubious at best. The truth is that the numbers say otherwise. In fact, the numbers aren't even a number one. They're not properly reported all the time, which I have an article in here that's saying that California is not actually reporting all their crime, and even when they do report their crime, it's still not accurate. So you could actually take a look at that article there. Don't take my word for it. Of course, go look at it for yourself. But California, they're not being honest because they're not reporting all the true crime stats to the FBI, and so as we've been able to see with honestly just the failure and the continuous rising crime over in California, I think it's pretty safe to say that even though she says that she was tough on crime as a prosecutor over in California, that she really wasn't. She's a failure at what she does, and honestly, she's going to want to bring that failure to the rest of the United States as well. And Trump was absolutely right when that failure that the Californians are currently experiencing, that the rest of the United States would also feel underneath her administration. Next, let's take a look at when she says that she's pro-gun. She said that she wanted to do a mandatory gun buyback and a weapons ban. But hey, don't take my word for it. Take a look for yourself.
I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action. We want to ban assault weapons, and they want to ban books. And let us be clear, it does not have to be this way, as our friends in Australia have demonstrated.
Reason why we have assault weapons on the streets of America. They are weapons of war. We need an assault weapons ban. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and we need universal background checks. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and we need red flag laws.
And now we have Harris that's saying that she never supported a mandatory gun buyback program, or that she never, and now that she's saying that I fully support the Second Amendment. I never said anything that I wanted to take away your guns. I don't know. It seems a little disingenuous, don't you think? When we take a look at the big picture of what she says and what she's always been from the beginning, based up again, this is based purely on her actions and off of what she has both said and done. And again, I want to say that the action, I think, carries a little bit more weight. I mean, but everywhere she went, whether it was in 2019, 2020, even as late as 2023, we have, and actually even earlier this year, we have her saying that she was all about these mandatory gun buyback programs, and that if she were to become the president, that would be something that she would want done within the first 100 days of her regime. But you tell me what you think. You think that she's blowing smoke, or do you think that this is actually what she wants to do, is that gun buyback program. So now I have to ask this: what does her track record say? What has she done versus what does she actually say, and what she claims to believe now? Doesn't this sudden change from how she governed in the past, does it indicate any real true change, or does it really just is it really just a desire to mask what she truly is? I actually would like for you just to, you let me know down in the comments below what do you personally think. In my opinion, I obviously she's just doing this for the votes. She's lying. She knows exactly what she stood for. She knows exactly what she's always stood for. That honestly hasn't changed. The only reason why she claims it's changed is because she wants to get more votes and to seem like she's a moderate. But that is absolutely not true. She's not a moderate. She's never been a moderate. And in fact, why don't you take a look at this right here, is that she was actually voted as the most radical leftist senator back when it was 2019. She was even voted to be to the left of Bernie Sanders. Okay, so we have to ask ourselves, what is the track record? If this is something that she's always stood for, and all of a sudden she's changed, do you really think that that's a genuine change of heart, or do you think that she just wants to get your vote and seem like she's simply just a moderate? Now, I want to make no allusion to all of you who might still be watching this video. No, I'm not a fan of Harris. No, absolutely not. But at the same time, I brought to you many articles, video montages, video clips, everything that you've seen. They're not my words. These are actually her words and her record. MSNBC, ABC, PMS, NBC. Everything that you say, I know. I'm just kidding about that one, okay? But all that you see in there, the Communist News Network, and make no mistake, I don't pretend that I'm not biased. I am very, very biased. So I'm not trying to mask that one way or another and say, I promise you, I'm not pro-conservative, pro-Trump, wink, and then bring all this stuff to you in the guise of acting like I'm not biased. It's absolutely not my goal. But what it is for you to see for yourself. Look, through each one of these links, through each one of the videos that I've brought before you, to see exactly what type of a woman that Harris is. Do you think that she's a moderate, or do you think that really what she stands for are very communistic principles? You let me know. But hey, I have one final question for you guys, is that she's in office right now. So why doesn't she do all those things that she's proposing? Because honestly, other than no tax on tips, and what was the other thing that she said? Oh, the food and price control. I haven't seen really any other policy come from her. But other than that, why doesn't she bring those prices down right now? Why doesn't she start signing things into regulation right now? I mean, wouldn't you want the appearance that you're going to stick to your word and then try to appear stronger as a incumbent administration versus a potential oncoming administration? Because I know exactly what she's trying to do. Believe me, it's not lost on me that she's trying to distance herself from the Biden administration, which you can't, because it literally says Biden-Harris on there. This is your administration that you're trying to run from. But which, by the way, doesn't make any sense to me when she says, we're not going back. We're not going back. You mean from your administration? Like, we're literally in the middle of what you guys are doing right now. So why don't you, if you have all that power, if you have all this ability, you have all these great, wonderful ideas, why don't you institute that right now and appear like, hey, you know what? I want to help the American people. I want these people to have a better life. I care. I care for these people and their businesses, and I want everybody to do well. But to me, this is just to me, I think that your actions speak louder than your words. And as I see this, I see her actions just reek of and her words just reek of lies, and the flip-flopping going back and forth just simply to placate the voters with empty promises to try to get voted in and to institute more communist ideology here in the United States. I personally think that this is what she's doing. But as always, you let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video featuring none other than her wonderful vice president. So I have a question for you. Is it Coach Walls or is it Comrade Walls?